Water, wind, together makes ice. Ice is one of the most coldest elements man has ever faced. But today I bring you, what if Bell was the iceblade sorcerer?
We'll start this off when actually Bell was actually born. When Bell was actually born, everything would play quite similar in the anime, but everything would be different here. You see, instead of actually the Zeus and Hera going on the three great quests, they will actually postpone this, because actually they feel like they're actually not strong enough or even powerful enough to take on the three great quests, at least not yet. So for now, they'll actually end up actually working on their strength and actually building their numbers here. Bell's father will actually end up dying to a weaker actually monster like that of a goblin, and leave it actually Miatella to raise Bell. When Bell was actually the age of 3, Miatella would pass away due to an illness here, and with this she will actually end up giving Bell to the Zeus and Hera familia. Now the real question actually stands, who will raise Bell? Hera wants actually Bell to join actually her familia, but the same with Zeus here. With this, the two of them will have actually an argument go back and forth. By the end of it, they will actually come to a mutual agreement that they should actually keep Bell for 1 year in their familia, and then after that they will swap, of course. Bell will spend 1 year in the Zeus familia and then 1 year with Hera familia, and so goes on. When Bell was actually the age of 5 years old, he wanted to become an adventurer, of course, just like his actually mother Althea. Althea had became actually the mother figure that Bell needs, but it wasn't just her. Hera became actually the mother figure too, so Bell has 2 mothers now. Bell will go up to Althea, asking actually her if he can actually train him to become an adventurer like her. Althea was actually against this, of course, but after much pleading from Bell, she will actually give in. Bell will be put under actually some actually not really intense training, but actually kind of like intense training that for people like for his age will find difficult, like that of push-ups and sit-ups, of course, about actually 30 of them. By the end of the day, Althea asks Bell to actually fight her, tossing him a sword. The sword was a wooden one, not a real one, so Bell actually would take his fighting stance, which he saw in the Zeus familia. Bell then would charge towards Althea, and Althea would actually go ahead and dodge most of actually Bell's strikes. Bell would actually end up taking a right swing, and then after that left, with Althea parrying all of actually Bell's attacks here. This is where Althea would go ahead and launch an attack, hitting actually his right hand, then after that his legs, and also his head. Bell will end up dropping the sword and end up on his knees. Bell will get back up again, and with this he will charge towards Althea with one last actually effort. This is where Bell actually will take one step forward, and then actually Bell actually release actually a right swing. This is where actually an ice actually blade would actually go ahead and pierce Althea on the right actually shoulder, surprising her. Althea would look in shock as actually Bell's hair turned that of pure pale white, and his eyes turned from red to actually blue, and then after that of a giant ice spike came from the ground that actually went and impaled her. She was truly surprised. Bell had already unlocked magic already, and he already actually harmed her. Not a lot of adventurer could even harm her, and she was super quick, but she was caught off guard by Bell's actually attack. Althea will end up telling Hera about what happened to Bell during actually the small little actually battle. The Hera familia will be actually excited to actually train Bell, because actually Bell has the same potential as that of Althea. The Zeus familia will also help along, also helping Bell with his swordsmanship training, of course, and his physical strength, while actually Hera familia focus on actually Bell's actually intelligence and also magic wise. Bell was truly actually smart, and that of a prodigy, like that of Althea here. Althea became actually Bell's teacher, but not just that, Bell also had actually of a master too. Her name was actually Ellen, and she was actually of a level 9 captain of the Hera familia here. And also Rex, they're actually level 8 of actually the Zeus familia. A few months will actually pass as actually the two familia will be ready to take on the 3 great quests. Zeus and Hera would actually end up actually going on the 3 great quests with their familias, of course, with Bell by their side. It would take about actually a year to go on the first quest, which was actually the Behemoth. During the 1 year, the monster on the surface would immediately joke to Bell. Bell easily actually dispersed every single monster before reaching the Behemoth here, as this was actually merely light work to him. Bell hasn't even gotten his farmer yet, of course, as he would have fight him without it here. With this, they will have actually an encounter with the Behemoth, and with this the battle will actually start. It took the might of actually the Zeus and Hera familia all together to defeat the Behemoth, but the behemoth was actually truly actually tough. Bell would actually use actually his actually ice blades and even actually harm the behemoth, making it blind in its eyes, of course. But this will actually make it go all crazy and wild. Bell would end up actually freezing the behemoth in one place, which actually Zod would actually end up taking a giant actually bite of the behemoth, which actually he would gain a massive power up. Zod would be flinged away after actually the behemoth's tail hit him away. Bell would use actually the wind to actually catch Zod, and with this, him and Zod with a combined effort would go ahead and actually stab the behemoth on his head, killing it once and for all. The Leviathan was actually no joke. Since the Leviathan lives on water, Zod could have used his actually glistening skills to actually do what he did to the behemoth here. But with the help of Bell, Althea, and also the level 9 captain of Hera Familia, the three of them would actually end up taking down actually the Leviathan here. With actually one actually allowed actually strike, Bell would actually summon his actually ice blades and stabbing the Leviathan, even blocking his path so it cannot actually move around too much. Bell even end up freezing actually the water, so it made it actually quite easy for most of the familiars to even attack the Leviathan. 2 years would pass, as Bell actually built up a reputation for himself. People started to call him the iceblade sorcerer, how powerful he really was. His name was actually heard across the whole world, even making it to Aurario. The people in Aurario was even quite surprised to hear about this iceblade sorcerer, how he was able to actually manifest ice out of pure will, how actually every step he took he froze the land. Bell was actually known amongst all actually adventurers here, and everybody wanted to meet the iceblade sorcerer. Freya and Loki was actually quite scared of actually this person. It was already big trouble that actually the Zeus Familia and the Hera Familia was actually already the strongest, but now that they have the iceblade sorcerer, this was already actually just chaotic as it is. Some time would pass as Bell actually finally reached 8 years old, as actually he was actually with actually his Familia here. They were planning actually the next attack, the last one to be the one-eyed black dragon. Everybody was actually counting on Bell, that they'll be right beside of him, as actually he's actually the winning shot, they're his ace, they're counting on him. Bell will be quite surprised that everybody's putting actually his faith in him, of course, like Bell is actually their ace. Bell was actually be caught off guard, but truth be told, he will like it. He had promised them that he will actually try his best, of course, that actually he will not let anyone down. Crimson flames could be seen all around, as the whole actually battlefield would be destroyed. Bell will be actually holding actually Althea in his dear life. He actually went ahead and witnessed the black dragon, the one eye of course. The dragon was huge, taller than any mountains that he's ever seen. The creature was large, with his crazy wings, crazy red eyes. He was actually truly an abomination here. With the combined effort of Zeus and Hera, they couldn't even stand a chance. Bell saw loads of dead bodies around of him, his companions here. He couldn't do anything to save them. They were all relying on him, and he failed. Bell will actually grab Althea and actually taking actually Althea to actually Hera, and actually with some healers there. They will heal our Althea up with also Zod. As Bell would look around, he didn't see actually the captain of actually the Zeus and Hera, his two masters. Fear struck Bell as he actually goes ahead running towards the battlefield. Zeus tries to stop him of course, but Bell was way too fast. Using an enhancement magic, Bell actually quickly looked around the whole battlefield. There he saw two bodies of actually his two masters. Rex and Leona just fell to the ground, their bodies already lifeless here. Bell grabbed the two of their hands asking if they were alright. They actually coughed out blood, saying that this is the end for them. That they apologized of course for Bell. They put too much faith in him that they didn't actually want this to even happen. The two of them would actually with their last breath would tell Bell to survive and live his life before they died in Bell's arms. Bell was actually quite shocked. His two masters has passed away. He couldn't actually do anything to save them. Bell was actually now truly worthless. The one-eyed black dragon was now in front of Bell as he landed right in front of him, growling and preparing his next attack here at him. Bell's power started to actually rise up, his anger consuming him. Bell at that moment felt pure rage as he already started to overheat. Bell actually already started to release his full power as actually all the grounds around of him started to freeze. Bell would be looking at the dragon with pure hatred as the power within him starts to resonate here. Bell stood up, and with this he would start to yell,
Now icicle blades!
A million ice swords would appear right behind Bell as all of them charged towards the black dragon. The black dragon would try to actually disperse, but Bell would actually activate his anti coating, which would demolish all the black dragon's flames that was coming out of his mouth. All the swords would hit the black dragon in his chest, not damaging it or not even injuring it, of course, but it did actually make the black dragon step back. Shards of ice went ahead and hit the dragon all over his body, consumed by ice and starts to be frozen there. The dragon would be quite surprised. He was being defeated by this kid. The dragon would actually go ahead and roar, breaking free from the ice. Instead of challenging this kid, the dragon would end up retreating here, but Bell was not going to allow this. He would try to launch one ice sword attack towards the dragon, forming up a giant sword, but Bell would actually collapse on the floor, unconscious. A few days would pass as Bell was still in a coma. Zeus and Hera finally found a nearby place where they can stay here, which was the same village where Zeus raised Bell in the anime. Althea will be right beside Bell as she was holding on to him for dear life, of course. She almost lost one family member of hers, as she didn't want to lose Bell. Bell was too precious, of course. Zeus and Hera end up going to Auraria, of course, as everybody heard that Zeus and Hera lost to the Black Dragon. Loki and Freya saw this as the opportunity to claim that title, and with this, they would banish Zeus and Hera from Auraria, of course, forever. As Zeus and Hera were banished, Evilith found Zod and Althea, and even offered them to join him, that together they can take over Auraria, of course. But in this time, Zod and Althea would end up rejecting. They believe Bell will be the future hero, of course, that will put everything right in order. Evilith would respect that, and with this he would go ahead and attack Auraria. And Auraria would absolutely win this battle, because Zod and Althea are not here, they will have a fighting chance here. So that means the Justice Familia will end up living. Bell would wake up, as it's already been 2 weeks since he was in his coma, of course, as Bell heard everything that happened. Bell lost his family members of the Zeus and Hera Familia, and worst of all, he lost his home. The Zeus and Hera Familia was kicked out of Auraria. Well, truly not really, it was only Zeus and Hera, but still he felt like he lost his home. Bell blamed himself, of course. It was his duty to protect his family members, his comrades, let them all down. Why was it that he lived and everybody else died? It wasn't fair. He let everybody down. He lost. They should have won. They should have lived, of course. He should have died. He just wants to call up and cry. He just wants the world to swallow him up, of course. It wasn't even fair. He lost 2 of his masters. Everyone he cares about, of course. Althea would be sitting right next to Bell, holding his hand, saying that it was not his fault here. He was merely a kid, he couldn't do anything about it. They felt truly sorry because they put too much faith in Bell, as they didn't know how much this was holding on him, how much this was towing him down. They were truly sorry. He was merely a kid, he shouldn't be in battle, of course. They robbed his life away, and they apologized for this. A few years would fly by, as Bell would end up starting his training again, but would be different. Bell will be focused on meditation here and trying to control his powers. Bell will end up sealing his powers away, as a spell called using Chronos Lock. This is where Bell could not really use sorcery as properly like he used to do. Bell thought that this was the most safer way to go about it, of course. If he had decent control over his powers, then maybe he would not overheat. A few years would fly by as Bell became the age of 14. Althea and Zod became bedridden as they couldn't walk around like they used to do. Hera and Zeus told Bell that Zod and Althea only had about 5 years to live, because of actually the sickness and also the poison that actually resides inside his body here. Bell actually promised that actually he will find a way to actually bring them back and cure them from their illness, of course. Hera actually once heard there was a legend called the Legendary Lake in the dungeon in Aurora, resides on the 80th floor here, which actually has the water to cure all illness and also sickness here. But that was only actually of a legend here. Bell actually said that he would be traveling to Aurora to actually retrieve actually this actually legendary item so he can save his last family members. Even if it was only just a legend, Bell wanted to actually try, of course. He wanted to save someone close to him, of course. And besides, Bell was also planning on going to Aurora, of course, as he wanted to grow stronger in there. And with this, Bell would actually set off on his journey to Aurora.